Alright guys, so let's get right down to it. Let's discuss why it is so hard to stop this. Why is it so hard to quit smoking? Or at least stay quit. Because as you guys know from my previous videos, I can quit. I can get past the nicotine withdrawal. I can get past that for weeks, months, over a year. And then I end up coming right back to these things later on. Why? I'm going to tell you why. And I'm going to tell you why as I light this baby. So let me paint the picture for you. You quit smoking. It's been 4 days, 5 days. It's been a week. You're doing good. You haven't had a cigarette. But you're still having the urge to smoke a cigarette. So you get anxious. You get quick with people. You start feeling that nick fit, basically, that you would experience when you were smoking. And it feels like it's never going to go away until you smoke another cigarette. So to identify that, we have to identify the nicotine trap and what you're actually pulling yourself into when you're smoking. And guys, it's very simple. It's very simple. When you smoke a cigarette and you put nicotine into your body, and nicotine gets processed by your brain, gives you a hit of dopamine. And that's basically your very happy chemical. So when you're smoking a cigarette and when you're pumping yourself full of nicotine, you feel good. Even if you don't actually realize it physically, that's what your brain is going through. Your brain is going through a happy high. But the thing is, nicotine gets processed very quickly in your system. So pretty much right around the time you finish your cigarette and you put it out, you are already starting to go back into withdrawal, wanting your next cigarette. And then, of course, that craving just gets worse and worse, hence nick fit. We all know that phrase. And you have a nick fit until you smoke your next cigarette. And then you just repeat the process because you smoke a cigarette, you get your dopamine hit, you're good for a minute, and then you start to decline and you start to go through withdrawal again. And you start getting, like I said, you start getting anxious, you start getting irritable, and you need to take a break, step away, and hit a cigarette. That is the trap. You're creating an anxiety trap by smoking cigarettes. Your withdrawal is creating anxiety. And this anxiety is entirely different than any type of baseline anxiety that you experience separate from the nicotine trap. So here's what happens when you quit smoking. You quit smoking, you flush nicotine out of your system, you make it 3, 4, 5 days. It doesn't even take that long. It takes about 3 days to get nicotine pretty much completely out of your system. So at that point, any cravings that you're having cravings because they're mimicking the same symptoms that you had when you were having nick fits when you were smoking. What you're experiencing is a new burst of anxiety from your baseline anxiety that pretty much you were distracted from while you were smoking. So you quit smoking and your baseline anxiety spikes. And you're confusing those symptoms with having a nick fit or with wanting a cigarette because it's still anxiety. And everybody experiences anxiety in their own way. And that includes the anxiety that you experience when you're having a cigarette withdrawal. So even when you're not a smoker anymore and you don't have nicotine in your bloodstream, your anxiety is still the same as the trap that you were in when you were in the nicotine trap. So you are interpreting that as, I need a cigarette. So what is the problem here? Why can't you quit smoking? You can't quit smoking because you haven't dealt with your anxiety. Only when you get on the right track and the right path and seek out the right treatment to handle the underlying issue, only then will you be ready to tackle this smoking monster and quit smoking once and for all. So in a nutshell, if you struggle to quit smoking, it is not just because of the physical symptoms of withdrawal from nicotine. You are experiencing an underlying issue. Could be anxiety, could be depression, but until you get on the right path to deal with that, you're always going to misconstrue your anxious symptoms with nicotine withdrawal. So guys, deal with your underlying issues. Deal with your anxiety. And you know what? While you're doing that, don't add more anxiety and don't create more problems. Don't make things more difficult for yourself. Don't quit smoking before you deal with your anxiety. But that doesn't mean keep putting off your anxiety so you just keep smoking forever. Go out, get help now if you need it. Go out and get it. And get yourself in the right headspace. And get yourself in the right, physical health too. Mental health, physical health. Get yourself in the right space. And then tackling smoking will be so much easier. But you've got to deal with those issues first, or you're going to have a really rough time trying to quit. I know all about it.